update on the maintenance?
Well, yeah, I think it's really, we're making some big progress there. But then in this other, in Dallas, I mean, this,
Who's that?
he's kind of really spearheading the, working with, programs.
Oh, okay.
He actually, is doing some, find out how much mowing he's doing. Of course, Kevin spent a lot of weed and stuff, but Kevin probably tell you any update on maintenance.
No, and I think the only update we have is that Alex is, he's a member of town council. And I'm thinking that he's been having some conversations with him. Meaning with Cody, the maintenance person, to sort of go around and show some of the stuff and sort of letting Alex sort of, he's the first counselor that has actually started talking to Cody about that stuff, and he's done some stuff. I don't know what you'd want to put in your notes other than maybe Cody. Yeah, Alex is working with Cody to, and I guess maybe at town council, maybe you may say a little bit more.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Just, you know, have to
Well,
wait
a
till-
couple of things we talked about, let's try to figure out how we can communication, community, what needs to be done to get into Javier and Cody, and what to do during the winter, and also what to do if he's sick or absent. Those are issues, like if he goes on vacation, then what happens with the maintenance, or if he's away for a while, who's going to cut grass and who's the supplement. So those are some of the issues that we talked about. We haven't actually got a hold of. And what's the other issue?
I come back to the same thing, nothing gets done.
Yeah, nothing.
So, it's starting with Alex to maybe see what Cody is doing. And let Alex, I think that the main thing is he's starting to go behind Alex. Going behind Cody and doing a little bit of follow-up that I don't know if Cody's ever had before, and giving him some direction as far as where it's to go. So it's basic stuff there. But they're out there. It is. The town spends an extraordinary amount of money for what you're doing. And if there's, from government services standpoint, it's absurd the amount of money is spent for what it's gotten. So if they want to look at anything as far as budgetary items, that'll be the first type of budget item that they should look at.
We did it canal basis. He did a whole canal basis for him. It's 5 hours on that. Usually that is really.
No, I would say yesterday.
Yeah.
And to use the bathroom too. We did the two guys that had the bateau tour.
Oh, yeah.
On the bateau, the bateaus they made.
Yeah.
So we did that, and so we were at the canal basin. One bathroom was really good, and the other one, there was some paper there, but I figured nobody had been in there since Friday, because it was Sunday afternoon and I'm home like a weekend. And it would not, there was some extra paper.
Any way that's that.
Yeah, so to explain what happened, that got like a little bit of backstory. The day we had no coverage for internet or telephone or anything, that part got edge trimmed. It got just everything done. Sprayed everything. If you were there, you probably saw rocks now. There's not much green stuff in there. Okay, but it's starting to develop now. The thing is now that was a heavy time consuming thing. Now it's really maintenance. Now I know that he came in and cut the grass last week, but he doesn't like to use a weed eater. When I was doing it, I'd done it 5 hours and he's like, oh gosh, you love that. I don't like that at all. And I'm thinking that's your job. Okay. But my point is that was done. I did the Bruce Park. I did all of them, the veterans. I did the street, going up towards, the school some. I did, back over here behind this building and around on that along the street and stuff. And it's not 40 hours a week as far as what he does. So,
I think Alex, part of this report is going around with them, and going through everything that feels is, and you get it, you should take, Alex put it all together. It's really what we used to do in this part.
Yeah, I mean, that was the idea when we put that original spreadsheet together. We estimated hours, was the idea was that somebody would kind of look and see what it really take, and give us a good estimate of what really a full-time person could do it, and if we needed more or less. And what it needed was somebody that to really sit there and validate what those hours are, because we were just kind of spitballing it.
Right, but also too important at the time, the supervisor was the town administrator.
Yeah,
She used to take care of anything else. He
yeah,
made that clear, I'm not picking him, he made that clear, he's my problem, he's my employee, I'll take care of it, everything's fine. And more than once, he was always, we need enough people, we need more staff. And maybe we should do all this work. And people claim he didn't work all of it. It's kind of hard to say that.
so I guess there's nothing really we could do about it, I'll just leave it as, Alex is working with Cody, yeah.
I mean, the only thing I like is that, this was presented to the council. And basically, it's just very light highlights of what Kevin and government services been talking about for years. Government services can only talk about it, staff application.
Has to do it.
Has to do it, and council has to listen. What bothered me with this presentation was that it was clear there's only three options. One is we just have to leave it the way it is, because that all that can be done by a maintenance person. Or we can, hire it out, or we can do a hybrid, as they call it, and put both, a person and together. But nowhere in this does it say we need to work with the person who's here. Nowhere does it say that a better qualified person could get it. That's not one of the options. And we spent 2 years saying that's the very option we should be pursuing. And I have a real problem that got left out. And that's what we presented to the council. So in my opinion, what government services can present anything to council, it should be that there's a more realistic option of dealing with needing someone who can do the job and we need to get someone to do the job. The idea that because he can't do it, we need to get more people wasn't the case. And that has not been a recognition of students.
Well, we've said that over there.
But that's what I'm saying, I think council, we need to reiterate to the council
But
that
I don't
this
know,
document is leading down the wrong path.
I'm not gonna put that in
No,
notes,
I could bring it up.
but, when we said that it needed to be better managed, that was the idea, that even.
Right,
Maybe
that is
keep-
what this
Amy
is.
Cody came up to
That was-
doing it, or we could find somebody who was capable of doing it.
Yeah.
When we go on to the website,
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually hadn't looked at it in the
Yeah,
last 2 weeks.
Which should, maybe, which is the question, is that, are you making, are you making changes for additions, or if who's doing that, is that, would be happy to do town clerk, are you doing that now, or is?
Which new town clerk?
Or like say that the website, that some things were on there that are incorrect, or.
Yeah, so Amal was helping me out with
Yeah,
that whole
okay.
lunch.
She wasn't-
She wrapped up her last day Friday,
Okay,
so I'm gonna,
so you just keep track of it if we send some
yeah,
suggestion.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I just feel like we could use it more, but I'd like to have, how to put something on the calendar.
Mhm.
Like, there's something already automatically, like, well, for example, somebody asked me the other day, we got our food pantries twice a month. And then we put it on the calendar, I said, well, I'll check. I mean, that's a community event, but also, we put events on there, like, say there's something for, Christmas or, the Boston Festival, I guess that would be the town clerk, but not on there, the event person.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I have to talk about the vision of
Yeah,
responsibilities with new stuff. There's clear stuff that in the job description, I know a clerk would be doing. I've had you submit through the comments page, and that's been useful, 'cause I've reached out to others. So there's like contact us, and I've had that been a way to just, that can work for a catch-all for updating the website. Cause then that'll just be like, that can be sent to me or the town clerk, depending on how we divide it, probably just both. So we can address it.
I know Nancy called me yesterday and asked, were we having a meeting today?
Yeah.
And yesterday, and she said it wasn't on the town council.
I forgot to tell Emily to do it last week, so then I talked to her today, and she emailed me, she put it up.
Yeah.
So she's noticing the calendar. I think the only thing you can do is really submit something.
well, maybe we can look at that next month about. New website, one of the things that somebody mentioned here, is that we still don't have like, how do I Zoom meeting?
Yeah.
And I think that's essential. You know, how to pay a bill and all that stuff's important, but it should be front and center. You know, you wanna watch a meeting, like, is this being Zoom or is this just recorded?
No, that one, but that is there.
Oh, we are being Zoom, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's our new setup.
huh?
That's our new setup. Like all these cameras.
So this meeting is being Zoom right now?
Yeah,
What is being Zoom?
Is this new? We didn't used to do our meetings, are we doing
I
that?
did the last one. I've gotten a whole bunch of response people want to have all our meetings.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's a lot of Zoom.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to go all those meetings then.
So where's?
I already knew.
Is that a camera up there or?
No, that's an old camera we have from the DMV. It is a camera, but
So, okay, so we'll have to watch the pretend of this meeting.
it is a public meeting, so you should always be receptive to what you say.
Not gonna make a difference to the public or everybody can be biased.
But anyway, I think that would should be front and center.
So all the town council meetings, all the town meetings will be now Zoom.
They have been.
Oh, yeah, most of that, well, I think most, I guess it happened.
Yeah, so those,
But now these committee meetings, that's new, committee meetings, I presume.
well, you're the only one who really meets in this type of
Oh,
diligent
yeah.
way. You know, Bill, some of ours don't meet as consistently as government services,
You're right.
other than ARB or
Right.
planning
And
commission.
that's, and that's one of the things on the solid website too, they have like
Mhm.
a link that goes to, I don't know, beautification or medicine, and we don't even have committee there.
Yeah,
So I think those need to be, if you go to that city and act currently in that. Whatever.
So Scottsville Government Service, I guess ARB and planning are always Zoom.
town council.
Town council.
The work session.
So we started off with. How do I? So I think when we presented the website last month. We talked about just trying to kind of get it rolled out, period, before changing that top marquee. I don't know yet, I can talk to, but I got a pretty clear. For the subcommittee that maybe we just first tried to get it
Yeah,
just out there.
yeah, it's good, it's pretty important.
What's something,
The website subcommittee.
who's that?
Okay,
So,
so,
let's say that, then, you know, that's this way,
yeah, it should,
it's misleading, I don't want to, so,
it should be
I
more.
don't know, I want to hang on that, what are you talking? So,
Yeah,
you know, that's why I was a little.
yeah, as a, yeah, it's starting from this committee, and that's a real success for this committee, we initiated this, from what she did doing. But, yeah, if we're gonna have something you want to have, it's gonna allow, who's a subcommittee.
And I would like to have a clerk before talking about changing the website. I'm really concerned I'm gonna barely be able to keep up on events. by
Oh, I
myself.
know.
I had Amelie just dedicating time to that, and she told me it took a decent amount of time. Especially not just our legal requirements, but there was interest in also it being kind of a community board to what your point. But that takes a little bit more time. So having a second staff member will help out with that.
Definitely.
Well, it's kind of a. Weed whacking, hadn't been done for so long, big job, and I get the maintenance. When we did that, my understanding was just micro. So what's there before is there now,
Mhm.
right? So it still all needs to be updated, added to, that's the big part. It's not just getting them to micro. The big part was getting the content, and getting it full, and getting it meaningful.
And some of it was updated.
Yeah. So it was.
I would say most of it was, because Eileen spent
And we
hours.
migrated more than we had before, so probably too much, I think, so it's.
So I would be selling her short if we just transferred immediately over. I think there was a lot of work put into those different pages to put it together. To that point.
You understand what my point was though?
Yeah.
I wasn't picking on Eileen.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say is just like when something hasn't been done and you're dealing with this. Years of not maintaining it, we do the best we can, but now it's gonna take months and months.
Mhm.
To probably get everything cleaned up, because as people click on it and use it,
Mhm.
just like I tried to zoom in on the special. Planning board meeting, I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
You know, and then I went to how to Zoom, and that doesn't exist.
Mhm.
That's something that we clearly said.
I didn't try.
So it's something that I know has to be added.
Oh, yeah.
But this is my point. But the project is done.
Oh, yeah.
We're just starting, is really the point.
And I think. To your point is like, you wanna. You wanna keep at the website because it's always gonna be changed. It's more living than static.
And that's the whole point of the website is that this is gonna be our one way, to keep everyone up and going. So kind of like, I don't want to sound silly, I'm not picking, but kind of like a meeting, you know, just being zoomed.
Mhm.
We find out 2 months later, Scott, you didn't know about it, right?
Yeah.
Kevin, did you know about it? I didn't know. Who knew about it? You did, and who else?
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm saying, it's like,
Yeah.
transparency isn't doing something and hearing it out 3 months or 2 months or a week later. Transparency is knowing in advance what's going on, or at least knowing that day, but, you know.
So is there a time frame on, I mean, let's. Not going from the website, but I mean, the clerk.
Oh, so I'm trying by the beginning of next month.
Beginning of October.
We've already started scheduling meetings and move. That's, I feel the quickest I can move.
Yeah, I noticed the town council has a closed session.
And it's about,
Yeah, and I assumed it was about the town clerk, but
I guess you say that, right? Can you say that? Say what it's about?
Well, I mean, we're moving as quickly as possible, and I think that's
Fine, yeah.
the moment.
Right, so I think, yeah, we're gonna look at the applicants, start looking at it, and I guess, maybe quite one.
So I guess where I was going with that was from the website
Mhm.
situation. I mean. Well, it seems like we want to move as fast as we can to get all this stuff straight. Is the idea going to be to wait until we have a town clerk? And if that's beginning of October, then we're talking about maybe the beginning of November or
But in the
November.
meantime, I think our committee can all look at it and come up with ideas and suggestions, so they. We have that done, and then they can say, do we change this, or edit this, or add this, or which will this.
Does anybody want to assist with the website with some
I
of
would,
that?
I would.
All right.
If I learned how to do it, I would do it too. I could ask. My wife used to do one for our church and
Mhm.
she said, once you got set up, you know, she did it every day, but it was like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then it's not published once it's set up.
All right.
And she's quite cool. But I'll, if I'd have to learn, but I'll edit it.
So,
So is anything going to happen, I guess, on the website until? I mean, are we supposed to be spearheading? Is that what I'm hearing? Or is it something that the subcommittee
Well, I think
is
doing
doing?
it, editing, if you're doing it, I think we should look at it and see what you think.
So do you want to put that on the agenda for next,
Yeah.
that everybody?
I think we should all come up with that, and I got a bunch already. For, you know, like the Zoom and some of the committees, things that should be changed or added. I think we have I think. Public service was part of the committee. You know, see, that's on the website, it says public service and it says. Eddie. He's not, you didn't have a special committee for that either, so I think a lot of this would be just government. Services, you know, that kind of things, because you're going to places that's not really true, that's my concern with.
Well, if we had to look at it and give our suggestions, I'm assuming that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
Beginning of October.
Well, yeah.
Meeting,
Yeah.
and then at that point, I'm assuming we'd have a clerk
hopefully, yeah.
that we could then.
Hopefully that person knows
With
about
that
it.
person that come to the meeting and then
Yeah.
we can sort of make them aware of that, or does that sound fair, or?
Yeah, I think that works. Yeah.
All right,
That needs to be part of the interview process, you know, to be.
I mean, I haven't seen the job description, but I assume working on the website is one of the.
It's in there, it's in there, just a little bit, but it's in there,
So,
what they do, you never seen the person die. No, you were doing it when we were.
Part of it.
Partly, but now it's still not.
Yeah, he was doing the paper chunk, he was doing agendas and some of that,
Okay,
which part of it is. Yeah,
yeah.
but I'd put up minutes most,
That's right, and we didn't really have a event calendar really,
no,
until recently. All
Like,
right,
things like who's on the committees,
yeah,
it's still out there.
Yeah, that's-
That's been for a while.
that's still up,
Who's the liaison, and blah, blah, who's the contact,
yeah.
that's really important, get the wrong person as contact.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, these are just things,
yeah,
it's really just that important.
the other thing is,
you mentioned.
I had asked. Were we keeping minutes and agendas of the meetings, and previously Matt had said that it was in his emails. It was just keeping them in his email file. It really should go on to the website.
For the government services?
All your committees,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so you're right, good minutes.
the agenda and the minutes should be there. And we should be using the website as a filing cabinet, electronic filing cabinet.
Good. Yeah,
And so that would be one of those.
and you mentioned, well, that's what, something about the web, some maps on the web.
Yeah, well, I think there should be a bunch of maps. on the
Yeah.
website.
So that might be something, yeah,
I mean, not a town map, parking map,
yeah.
one
I think there's a part of that there. I think the part of it, so,
outlining more closely where the different parks are.
yes,
So, I mean,
yeah,
you can have it the same map, but
right, right,
you can even put an I mean, if you have the same map, you can put overlays on them. You can do even all the stores overlays,
yeah,
so that, somebody has the map and then. You can look at. These are all the restaurants, these are the.
yeah, oh, yeah,
Parks, so these are the trails and.
yeah, yeah,
Stuff like that.
I agree, I like maps, so I think it's really valuable, maps.
So,
There is a. Like a jack for the water, and sewer, and map on that, so you know, all the fire hydrants are.
Probably shouldn't have that up,
What?
we probably
Oh,
should,
really? Oh, because that's pretty. It's
kind of, like. It's best practice probably to not have that up, have it in the back of office would be great.
Okay, well.
that makes people open.
Or worse,
You can take that. Yeah,
I don't think.
I'm always gonna use it, so,
It's up, I think just Jack had it.
yeah. There's a parking man,
Is it on his website?
I don't know, yeah, he's listed, but anyway, that's.
Why don't we do that next? So,
let me, before we move on, can I get an understanding on the website? So we had a website committee and that was mainly Eileen.
Yeah.
As far as creating and getting the contract to get a new website. That website has been delivered to us. We are supposed to review it by the meeting next October, at least us.
yeah,
And is this committee something that's gonna be continuing? Or is this a committee that's gonna cease to exist because the website is now? My question, and
It's in good shape, but not, where's the forward state?
I would assume that the committee would see.
okay,
Then it became the responsibility of. Bobby here and his clerk. To keep it up. Et cetera, and then he can come back to us if there's. Need for any enhancements that he can't do.
There's a way, it's just a way that they can get feedback, improvements or updates. And everybody knows how to do that, I think with the new website, they should be able to contact somebody about, concerns about the website.
well, I guess my concern is you sort of. Are we back at where we were before when, we created, we had a website that was in good, but then everybody said, I didn't have as much as what we wanted to have. Now we've created a new one would hope to have maybe some type of maintenance in place. I don't know if we've got that directly from Javier or like a code type of you and the thing. I just, my concern is that that is a continual like update type thing and I think if that is going to be the case, that should be given from the direction to be given to town council that should be something that is done if that is important, if we've gone through this process. You know, we keep talking about like adding maps and adding stuff, but who's going to be doing all that? I guess is my question. And
Gotta see what town council wants exactly, like, this is the worst time probably to ask me, can you do more with the website?
well,
But
I'm
like,
not,
I think of it like I think the bare minimum is those legal requirements. So it's like agendas posting, correct information on like your committees, minutes. Really, it's agendas minutes, like those are those legal requirements.
And meeting, that's.
Yeah. Yeah, so like agendas going up, when's your meeting, and then report back, or a public viewing of what happened at the meeting. And then the second layer was. I'd say like a second layer is some of the perpetual calendar stuff. And then a third thing is those things that are a little bit longer that can stick around. Probably a map could stick around for longer than you expect. A form that doesn't get changed until, 5 years down the road. So that first layer seems really easy to figure out between me and a clerk. It's just what we did before. It's that second and third one. What's the first thing you bite at? And then how much of a priority it is.
So you say, the requirement meetings, agendas.
Yeah, that's definitely like the most important. I literally think of my job as what's the most important and then try and prioritize it from downward from that.
Yeah.
I know you guys don't like hearing this, but there's only finite time between two staff members to get stuff done. There's plenty of stuff I'd like to do more. So some of it is what can government services helps out with some projects. For example, like I talked to you about the statistics or an inventory of housing. That feels like something I can parse away as a chunk in a project and then you deliver back. But maintenance feels like it has to be something more in-house. So maybe a priority list on what's the most important to do.
Yeah.
Or some of those updates could probably be done as projects. Like, we need to update our list of businesses on there or something. I don't know, whatever you guys come up with for next month. Kind of delving into that.
Kind of sounds like we need to stay here for a little bit,
Yeah.
but also too, to keep it in perspective. This wasn't only to get the legal stuff out.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I think that was considered a given.
Yeah.
The main reason the first were website, first was guys to do it, was so that we would be selling this capital, so people can find it in this capital, so we can have a great time in this capital. So that, to me, is even more of a priority. I get this as a requirement.
Yeah.
And that has to be done. And that was, like I said, like a year, once you update the legal stuff, and again, it's like feedback. You get to maintain it, doesn't take 5 hours to do it.
Mhm.
But to sit there and say the rest of the website, I think that's the biggest complaint.
Mhm.
The rest of the website didn't do money that, didn't satisfy me, which is why we did it, which is why it's so important.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could have just.
and that's sort of back where I'm coming from. We've invested in this, but we've got to get beyond the investing in stuff and then not continuing on. And that's why I thought of the website. So, I think it's something that it should be continually done by somebody. And maybe it stays here for a while and we just have that on the agenda. But I think ideally,
You can keep it on the agenda for, that's no problem, just keep it on the agenda. We can keep a list of what we feel needs to be done. Some of that, a lot of that's the original list that we had.
Well, and we're having to deal with that new knowledge, et cetera,
Yeah,
and staff, but it sounds like what you're saying is it needs to stay here, so it doesn't stop here, because that's what we got at last time. And it wasn't satisfying.
so we,
She could, and we're going to do it. When she consulted.
well, I mean, we talk about these things. I mean, on it from the standpoint of when we talk about maintenance, so when we talk about having 2 employees, which we do, but, in all fairness, we also have a maintenance person. That technically, I mean, I don't know how savvy they are. I'm not trying to create additional stuff, but I mean, there's bandwidth from the council level to figure
I
out
mean, that's,
where.
no, I would agree, when you think of the town employees, like in the winter, and there's no cutting grass and stuff like that. Then you say, well, what else you could do? And there's no reason why you couldn't be doing stuff, office stuff.
That might be
When I
something we
was,
should do.
when I was doing 2 times, hey, I directed people to food line, I directed people how to get the truck, so this is just me and I had sitting out there for 5 hours. I had 3 people sort of stopped and was asking me stuff. That is exactly what I've been saying from day one, that somebody is there, that somebody is representing this town, that's an impression. You bunch of impressions together, that's when you start to have a community. That is.
When we had the tourists, that's exactly, when we had that little building, we used it as a tourist building. People would come up to the mat and instead of just staying in there, I see somebody come up and go out and talk to them. And so many times I directed them to get to the river, where restaurants were, and stuff like that, which really helped a bit with the direction to businesses in town.
Yeah, I just want to take it back though, what you were hitting on, what you said about downtime. I mean, I was a farmer for 20 years. People assume as soon as there's a problem, I got nothing to do until next year.
No,
Wintertime, I had more work to do, as you can imagine, because it's harder to do and everything else. The idea that this town might take that just because the mowing is done, our maintenance guy has no other work to do, is probably at the root of the problem. He does not have downtime, whoever the person is, he or she, there's plenty of work to do. And I can tell you, right before it snows, even if it's 30 degrees, we still got this much dirt sitting out there in the road that hasn't been moved in 5 years. It won't take them long to shovel that up. There's plenty of work. Trail work, that's when Dave used to do a lot of his trail work, was during the winter. That's when he did a lot of his repair work, was during the winter. There's a lot of work to be done.
well, I'm not saying that there's not a lot of work still to be done. I'm saying there could be an extra day or 2 a week.
What I'm trying to say is, it does not appear that we're gonna get caught up on maintenance very quickly just because the grass. That's what I'm saying, we're so far behind, it might take a year or 2 before that might be dealt with. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I just don't think someone like a maintenance person should be pulled off maintenance work to do something else, why would we got all this maintenance? That's what I'm trying to do.
And the reason I bring it up is not, I agree with where you're going with that, but it's a cross training part of where I think that, the idea of specific jobs, and that's all they do, I think is wonderful, but, like, your job titles and then you're getting done stuff. And my thing is, I'm not on a job title if other things are getting done. I would love to be, I think it's always best for whoever the new town clerk is, is to be not cross training, but I mean, I just would like to see more, cross training.
You had, I think, back in something last year, to fill up on this next month, what needs to be done with the bones, because I remember you had some, I asked, so, what needs to be painted, what needs to be cleaned, what needs.
We've had lists, and those lists have been there.
Let's do that, we're gonna have that.
Well, I can't make it any
No,
more organized other than
let's, broadcast.
following
I
along.
think what
and
he's
doing
saying,
that.
sand it out.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
we'll do it again.
We can hand it out.
Give it to Alex.
And I'm, Javier, and when I bring that stuff up, seriously, I want it all to be a group team effort. If it's something you need help with, that's about, you know what I mean? If somebody knows, if it's something the same way. What I heard was, before, like from that, well, if I need a light bulb change, I need a maintenance person. And to me, I'm like, dude, in all fairness, if you have a light bulb change, you change the light bulb yourself, is what my thought was. But that was, he was very structured from that standpoint. And I would like to get away from some of that structure. I just would like to get stuff done, I guess, is all. in all fairness.
Well, charitable to him, I've seen him downstairs doing plumbing for us too. I think more of that is that. Some of it is specialization for the benefit of the role. Like, you know, you can spend a lot of time doing stuff back there, so having somebody else who change a light bulb. You aren't up there, you can actually do something in the back office over there. But I do understand
But
that.
yeah,
kind of
yeah, I'm
catch-all.
just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to look at a cost benefit ratio. So if you have a lot of work to do in the office, it may be cheaper to get somebody else to do light change.
Mhm.
I mean,
Correct. I'm not saying it's not, but what I'm saying is that should be the hard decision to get
but
made.
you have,
When I had a backpack blower, okay, a backpack sprayer, you know, the 5 gallon backpack, it was $30. I purchased it from Harbor Freight, and I Cody was like, wow, that's a backpack blower, and I was like, yeah, you can sort of walk and spray and stuff. And he said, you know, the comment was, do you know how much those things cost at Ace? And it was, you know, didn't really know exactly, but it was like $89. And I'm thinking $89, you know, you have 4 gallons, you know, you can walk and pump at the same time and spray continuously with that versus stopping and pumping and stuff. It's just more efficient. And I think sometimes in we don't always think sort of from an efficient level. I would rather us get him a backpack sprayer so he can put in 4 gallons of stuff so that he can walk and do and pump at the same time. To me, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But maybe other people don't think that makes sense. I don't know.
I think what you're trying to say is because it's labor saving. I think.
Yeah, it goes both
That
that,
it costs us.
it goes both ways though, from the standpoint of that is all I'm saying.
So Alex met with Cody today again, just to
Okay.
kind of overview stuff. So I'm thankful for Alex, because Alex
course.
understands that stuff a little bit more than I do. But he did start broaching ideas like, what are some efficient improvements we can make? This, you know, even from the most basic one where it's like, do all your tools work? Because if they don't, you spend half of your time trying to get them to work. So, you know, for example, we got our, I think it was our blower got fixed last year, our gator's working. You mentioned like probably a trailer would help, because you just load it all up instead of having to go up and down, back. And then some of it is just guidance. Alex is giving, these are the priorities, and then let's build out from that. I think you guys touched upon it a little bit in the beginning, and I had to step back, so I didn't hear the whole thing. So part of that is just some direction.
Excellent.
what we want, somebody. You I sent out and build this thing, you know, thing on the Parks and Recreation Committee charges and responsibility.
Yeah.
I sent Bill some.
You know, they, just to give you a background, they, was part, we wanted to do a review with them, that they was looking at, and they wanted to, get permission to, I mean, they're gonna be hiking a lot, but they wanted to get permission to, work on the, evacuate nature, and do something like that, and, you know, you want to understand, you know, that's, I'm not sure how much they're gonna do with it, it'd be good to have them part of our, park group that goes beyond that. And, you know, permanent and broader and more organized. But the attorney wrote back and said that, if the park group does that, they probably need to sign some waivers. Because they, you know, there was a guy who, my neighbor said, he went out and cut logs and we get it in the back and make sure on his own. Did you get permission? Did you? So he went out on his own, and he's good. I mean, I think this, I mean, I'm sure he did fine with it, but it was kind of odd. It's a little bit, it'd be a little bit of problematic if he dropped like a chainsaw or hurt himself, unless he's not a waiver. And I think he did a good job. I would think that he's covered, it helped me cover with him. But I don't, it wasn't coordinated, that's all I'm saying. It was, I think there's gonna be some sort of more commission, you know, go to the out there and say, look, I'm gonna go up and do this, that in park, you know. And I mean, he'd be fine, but I'm worried about somebody going out there and saying, oh, we got this, we got that. So anyway, that was part of it. This group wants to do an MOU, have an agreement, I don't know why. They can just go out there and pick up sticks without permission, but if they're gonna be doing some big.
So we're not talking about a special parking Recreation Committee.
That's what we had, and I think it would be better if they were part of that. We had a committee like that. That was the point.
In the past,
We had that.
in the past, council has started to present, adding to the existing committee form, whatever it's called. Just added parts and rec, and for some reason, it's getting pushed off, and it never happened. But we have a document in town, and it's part of the document. We talked about charter community and responsibility.
The charter, yeah.
Yeah, right, we talked about financial and, being able to add parts and rec to it is something that we float around and has been for over 6 months. It seems like a simple thing, to be able to add a parts and rec committee, and we should be part of that parts and rec committee. And then this way the town themselves, and the whole state, and town itself can handle any kind of responsibility or not. Direction and anything else, but it seems to me that we have committees, charter committees, and then that was one of them, and they got dropped, and now it just needs to be added back in. It seems to be easy enough for me, but I don't know why. Either one of them is nice.
I would agree with you. I thought this was awful long.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, this is a little bit too,
and I didn't think it really did. I would think that in a Park and Recreation Committee, part of the thing is they would be sponsoring some of the activities.
It also too, some meeting. That was what was proposed, and this was what exists. This is the big stuff for that, right? So that's not part of it, that's the proposed change.
Where did this proposed come from? This was.
I don't know where this came from. You sent me this,
oh, what that?
this long list.
Oh, that was, I think I didn't agree with that. She went, she and I liked it a lot, so
Who created this?
I went through that.
And if you look at it, I mean, this talks about charges of responsibility, and it sounds like you're talking about community, and then it just goes into the community. So there's a lot of stuff in here that's not in the rules at all,
Yeah,
and a lot of stuff that contradicts what is in the community rules. So to me, the simple solution is to add parts and rec.
I would agree with that.
When we just go forward, you know.
And then any group, we would suggest that any group be connected to the Park and Recreation. And then that, what, Germany,
Then they could,
Join the committee, if anyone else, you know.
if they were, whichever.
This was the group. that
Yeah, this,
Nancy
yeah,
was talking
I
about.
think they started this,
There's something up in the.
and they want, I don't know why they wanted to do that. So they
Yeah,
wanted-
so this was something that was created.
This has nothing to do with it. This is something that, correct me if I'm wrong, the community.
Yeah.
It's something I need to create is to say, if you're gonna be looking at that, you should consider all this. But that had nothing to do with the hiking committee. We haven't seen
Yeah, that's
any
not-
MOU or anything like that.
that's,
That was in the public
There is
service.
an LU up.
I thought there
There is one
was,
out.
there was a hiking committee that Liz Knox, Nancy Gill was trying to set up.
Yeah.
And they have a
Yeah.
page on Facebook. And that had nothing to do with the, I thought,
This has nothing to do with that
it
topic.
has nothing to do with this
And we
document.
have a single MOU,
That's a different issue. That's,
It's a real different issue.
but the MOU hasn't been public, we haven't seen it yet, correct? Staff just has it, we're reviewing it with lawyers and everything else.
Yeah, put something together for next
So
week.
maybe the MOU just that doesn't exist yet in a finished form for the public, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
So don't confuse, that's not the MOU, and that's not the MOU. And this is what exists now.
so this thing here, I think we should just
Yeah.
recommend this
Yeah.
regard,
Yeah.
and then we recommend a Park and Recreation become part of the charter committee.
And that's what was looking around, the highlighted part is the only one that did. Everything else is what's sort of.
yeah, I think you got to put the town one way or the other. I actually.
Do you want this?
Was it not the same thing?
Yeah.
Was the
No.
Park and Rec committee, this was the document that was this?
No, this is something that was created recently, and that's what's deceiving about it too. Because it looks like it's been approved and it hasn't, it's a proposed,
There's a proposal.
you know,
There's
this,
a proposal.
but this thing, well, what I just gave Scott.
Right.
And he said, please, but, all right, I only have one, Scott,
You know,
if you want to do it,
Okay.
like, have to take a look at that.
So I agree.
Yeah, follow that. So that's,
This is approved, huh?
right, so that's page one, is scratch this off. No,
Okay, we
no,
never.
that's what we're proposing to put in. But everything else is what's approved. That, the highlighted part, the adding of parks and rec. And this was the full definition of
There's
parks.
there's still gonna be a problem having a committee, you know, it's supposed to, you know, it's not paper, you know, just like with a beautification committee, but we don't. It's not,
That's up to the committee.
yeah,
So the first step would be the council, we recommend,
and then try to get.
and I'm not speaking for you guys, I'm saying, if, I'm gonna say recommend. If the committee recommends that we set this is the existing document, that we add back to the existing document. And move forward, if that passes, the very next step per our committee's rules is now council. Votes and appoints a liaison, then the liaison handles the committee, and then they vote on who's the commission, I mean,
Yeah, we could get.
chairman. I'm just saying, but that's how all this, the committee's committee.
Right, and
That's what I would agree with second, really with that idea. I mean, it just. Go back to the town council to decide if you want to have a park and recreation committee.
It's up to that,
It's up to them.
purely up to council.
That's their responsibility. I just wanted to quick follow up on, you had made a comment about, and I agree that in the strategic plan, it was. Kind of didn't say much about economic commercial development, kind of pushed it in with tourism. And I think there were, when I reviewed it, I thought commercial development is. Tourism could be part of it, but there's a lot more than just tourism, and it can be just lumped together. So,
is this a strategic plan?
yeah,
Is this something?
no, and when we did that, I just wondered, did the town council ever look at that, look at the strategic plan? No.
You wanna recommend it again? Okay, put it to strategic plan and highlight.
Well, that's the thing, that plan is, there's everything in the world, in every sense.
You know, his point is that that's one major item.
Right.
Check it left out, that was mentioned in all the meetings.
Yeah.
But you say, at our last meeting, we discussed that. And we presented the council.
Okay.
Well, and I would suggest, I personally would suggest that tourism is important, but I think there's a lot more than tourism, and it's. Should be just pushed together.
Right. I think commercial should be its own.
On that, I mean, it's just as important,
Right, you're right.
it's just important, there's a lot of businesses that are tourism related.
Yeah.
And you know. This, when stores in the town, eventually whatever happens to the plant. They will get in more commercial use of that, people working from home, all that is commercial. Yeah, I think that really needs to be considered. And, you know, business licenses are one of the places that, yeah, that's gets money from.
Yeah.
So,
This is tax.
what?
It is tax.
Well. We don't really have a business tax. Yeah. We got a commercial. In a way you do, you have a commercial license and the amount depends on what your income is.
Right.
Which is what we, yes. So it is a tax, but it's not a special sales tax like there
No, but that's not that.
There's
There's a deal tax.
a meals tax, there's a cigarette tax. If there's.
It's not a state, it's not a state.
At the time, but it's okay.
And then Bill asked, so we'll go on to this high quality governance.
Yes, that was, I mean, that's, like, I want that, but yes, I told people I knew, you really get better with communication with the public, with the website, they find out things that they contact us and I feel like we really need a lot of work with internal communication between the town council and mayor, what's going on. I mean, they, in the power, we have these, reports once a month about, mayor's work. So, things happen there should be some things that happen, if they happen during the town council should know about. Even some things like routine or something like that, or changing this, somebody like a new hire or need for a volunteer. Those kind of things you don't find out about meeting. So I just don't feel like I feel like there's sometimes just decisions made and also people are talking that a big example to me, the biggest that was I remember when we did this town the plant. There was something about a Scottsville industrial park. And I found out that some people knew about that weeks, months before I knew about it. And it's like, what's this town, Scottsville town industrial park? Why has that been broadcast? Just those kind of things are not brought up. Some people are knowing, some people are knowing others are not. That's the thing. Right? Yeah. So this is. I mean, so I thought it might be good at least think if we wanted to do something like that, we could say, what are the issues that how to communicate with each other.
Honestly, to me, this is. Yeah, I don't see the advances of it. It's a nice document.
Yeah, you're right. It's about being transparent, but you're right. If we had a notion of transparency, we don't need them.
Know what this actually does.
I mean, I'll go back to a couple of things that I see when we talk about this transparency is, I think that sort of the rules have become so that you almost, it's difficult to be transparent in a lot of ways. In other words, if you have two or more people, then you're having an official meeting. So it's not like, you can actually communicate, that, which is, to me, is a hindrance of that, because you don't want to be in a meeting. Is that correct? If you have two or more, then you can't. And I'm not, a state law type thing. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I mean, some of what happens, it's like, oops, you can't communicate. Like in this, we can't have more than two people, town councils here.
Yeah.
But ideally, it'd be great to have everybody here so they could all hear the conversation and hear the, why people are saying what they're saying and stuff like that. That they have a thing. I think, to me, I understand where you're going with that. I mean, I think I understand, because you just want to have everybody be on the same page.
Yeah.
But I think in some respects, with all of the stuff being in so many, going back to like these committees, you got 6 or 7 committees on that thing. And I had always taken it back to the maintenance, and I just want to work on the maintenance to get that straight. And then we go on to something else, because that's just the way I think. I don't know. I think that sometimes it's too community. Is that
well, that's part of it. I guess what I'd like to see, if there's maybe stipulate certain things that always should be communicated immediately to town council, like say a new hire, and not coming to a meeting, resign, the office is closed, something. There's been a problem in town with this, and vandals or crime or something like that. It just seems like there should be some sort of way of communicating broadly with everybody about urgency, new things, urgency, or this meeting's canceled. Or we need somebody to do this. Because we don't have staff or something like that. It seems like. We won't find out about that sometimes, they'll just deal with it themselves, and I think we can get that. These are stipulations that need to be communicated.
I think what you're trying to say is what you'd like to happen doesn't happen. So that's why you want to
Find it out.
Right.
I lost it, I don't find out.
Guideline.
Yeah.
These are best practices we should be trying to achieve. Not
Yeah,
necessarily
that's
a rule of law.
practices, right,
And like when I read the Alamo, I didn't see how anything was really forcible about
Yeah.
it. So it sounds like we can't just
you're right.
take Alamo and lay it
These are
on.
norms that they should have,
But we can't just lay it on Scottsville.
Right.
It sounds like you really want to do that.
yeah,
You need to create something that is what's our problem here, but what is indeed done in this case, if that's
yeah,
fine.
exactly.
And make it apply to Scottsville.
We need to examine.
But what you're saying is things aren't working, or things aren't happening, which is why you're bringing it up now, because you want to lay out a bunch of rules.
Yeah, right,
Am I right? Or-
yeah, but part of it's just a
When you really
broader communication,
saying more transparency and communication.
yeah.
Well, we got that, that's not important, I think that's what he's trying to say. Maybe we need to get a little more detailed than that, because that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
Or to the satisfaction of your extent of your satisfaction.
But I just don't know what
you're right.
something like this will do.
I do,
I think
I'm okay, it's an extra work.
it's a work, less. I think it's
More
more
bureaucracy,
personal interactions.
yeah,
I agree with them. There used to be, people used to go to the coffee shop,
yeah,
and now technically, if you're three members of the town council. Sits together and has breakfast with a coffee shop,
yeah,
they'd say you're having an official meeting.
right, good point,
It's one of the small parts of a small town.
yeah, there-
Yeah,
And, you know,
Unfortunately, that's a state legislative law,
Alright.
good reason for it. And if people want to talk, they can work around it, meaning I can talk to Kevin, and then I can talk to Simon.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to all be at
I mean-
once. But those are just rules that have always been there, so I think like kind of picking on that one is kind of silly.
I mean,
Because that's just the way it is, it's trying to run the business.
I think it's more a responsibility of the members of the town
Yeah,
council
right.
to informally make contact. When you hear something, just kind of informally contact the others.
But I think his point is, something's happened that staff knows about, and I'm picking on staff. Because that would be the proper
yeah,
chain of command that staff would know about, like, I don't know, say, Ricky. Because the police reported to you, or whatever, and the council wants to know because they feel like people walk up to them and go, wow, did you see that, whatever, painted whatever, and
Yeah.
they go, what are you talking about?
I know,
Now they look like they don't know what they're talking about, or so-and-so's having a problem with whatever, or, so that's what I mean, like, I think that's what you're saying,
Yeah,
right? It's more.
Need a lot of streets,
Council
talk about
supposed to know
stuff.
what's going on,
right,
but
then,
not find out later,
right.
you know?
Or somebody might stop me and say, what's going on, we can't park here anymore, or what's going on with, yeah, like, when I was asking about changing the parking, and taking down the signs for 22-hour parking, or. And I said, well, I don't know about this, and it'd be good for, if there's decisions being made that. The town, you know, that the town council to know about these things, talk to the public about these things.
People do go to the council members, in answers.
Yeah, and they want to do something else, you know. And so you hear about it on Facebook too, and, you know, just to make it, you saw that, you know, like they say, you know, this is not being done, and. You know, just find a way to communicate, you gotta keep your.
I don't know what we can do about
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
Then it's,
Right.
you know,
Okay. But this was not quite fair, and I think there was an interest in this way back because. I don't know if it was about how the town council operates, you know. But I do think there ought to be something that if somebody doesn't go to a meeting, or can't be the meeting, that we should know, and I do think that. The minutes should be, I would share the government services with everybody. And I think those should be across the board, just some communication and. You know, and I think we're doing better, I think, you know, people know what's going on. Agendas and minutes and the meetings.
okay, anything else? Look forward to you having an announcement about the park.
I look forward to it too. I would be grateful to share news with you guys. That's somebody, yeah.
It's been a long time since. I think. I really feel it.
Yeah,
Now you've done it.
and then that person can come to the meeting instead of you sometimes.
Mhm.
They can come here, like
Yeah.
I used to do, yeah, good thinking. Throw you up a little bit. But yeah, I think a special person to do a lot of, you know. Well, people out walking there too.
Well, yeah, I guess we're adjourned or not, but I just had a question. Is there anything after, a month then? I mean, that you see that? I mean, I would like sort of, I'd like a dialogue in both ways. I'd like to keep that if you make notes.
So I think some creativity about projects, like, I think of stuff that's kind of tough to hand off to somebody else.
Mhm.
And then there's stuff that's very easy to hand off. So some creativity with that would probably be helpful. I think I talked to you last Saturday. If we heard during that meeting that we wanted an inventory of houses here, then even just taking that time to look through GIS and then putting something together that's presentable, that either we can use down the road in-house or just use it for the comprehensive plan, that feels like a project I can parse off to, for example, Bill
Yeah.
said he had some editing he wanted to do, I could try that.
Yeah,
Those are the things that I could think of that would be really helpful for government services. Because then I think of it as like, there's an hour out of my day that I can have somebody else, or 2 hours that somebody else can work on, and then I can focus on something else for 2 more hours. Like, I'm thinking about the MOU the whole time I'm in this meeting.
Right.
So I can get that out the door. So stuff like that. Down the road. Part of it is I've just started doing those meetings, so some of it has felt like I don't feel exactly like I'm fully in the role without having somebody else in the office. Between having a part-time come in, 2 part-times come in and out. And then just having volunteers in.
Are you going to the planning committee and the architectural review committees? Do you go to those two?
I go to every meeting.
You go to
Your
the-
clerk goes to every meeting too. That's the other thing. You eat up a lot of hours going to meetings.
Yeah,
Some of it's the job really, but
you know what, just a suggestion, streamlining for maybe a month or two, if you could go to each committee or like we should have an also. And say, can somebody do the minutes?
Mhm.
Like, you don't do the minutes, he does great minutes, so if we get somebody, it doesn't have to be you or the town clerk doing that, they could train that person how to do minutes, but that would free some time up. And we got some people who could write, like I only probably do for town council, I would think, that she's a good writer. Or maybe he, but good minutes, but. It'd be nice to have them take ownership of it,
because
I know when I took minutes, when I looked at, I was really more engaged. It's like, it's not, I can take it and I organize it myself. And, that's, and they can hand it over eventually, but I mean, that might be something to consider.
Because well, soon I'm not gonna be a clerk, but that would free up for them to do other stuff that is important for us.
Or learn the job too.
And I mean, your committee can always have a secretary that's
Yeah,
dedicated to
Yeah,
that.
right.
That's a role. The same way you have a chair, vice chair.
sure.
These are too granular, so you don't have a treasurer, but
They used to do that, planning commission used to, I remember, I think we were out somebody said, I'll take the minutes, I'll do.
do you think they'd be applicable to? Some of it is also staff, like,
Well, they-
don't ask.
Not, yeah,
Those
well,
above you.
some would, some wouldn't, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, it depends on who's on the committee, but I remember that happened,
Mhm.
when somebody's out there, they'd have somebody take minutes.
I just have a question about that, and I know we won't probably know the answer, maybe something to check out.
Mhm.
Ours is stuff. So stop doing minutes is not a big deal, which is why.
Well,
Many
it's
times,
a
there was no staff in our meetings, it's not the same.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if there's any kind of legal requirement, because it's required by law for this to happen, it's required whatever. I don't know if there's any kind of legal requirement that it has to be done by staff.
I can double check. I think the most important thing is that you have a body that feels comfortable approving minutes from the previous month.
Right.
Because that's
And
like
again, I
that.
said, I didn't know the answer, but it's a question that she asked.
Yeah.
stir that pot and find
Oh,
out,
oh,
yeah, we can't do it.
I've been thinking the same thing. I still have that, like, let's make sure we're doing it all right, kind of feeling. That's my gut feeling, but I can always check again.
It would possibly, doesn't even have to be a member of the committee.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like the town council,
Doesn't, because it's be the same as a staff member working on minutes for somebody.
somebody, the town council, for instance. You know, you could consider, do you want to hire somebody to basically take the minutes? So it frees up.
Well, I think that's part of it.
Then when we get back to your hiring.
I don't wanna be- We can't hire more people.
I know.
No,
We gotta-
If we hire someone.
Yeah, we got.
you know,
Jackson, but.
No, I'm
back
just-
to hiring level,
Temporary, yeah.
it's temporary, but I'm just saying that.
We did.
You know, sometimes you can hire somebody just, the only thing, just one activity.
Yeah.
Well, we can find a volunteer.
You volunteer to do it.
But, yeah.
I'm just. Our budget just doesn't have it.
I know it doesn't have a lot of money in
And
it.
it's great to say we'll get more staff, we'll get more this, we'll get more that, but. You gotta have more money to do that.
No, I realize
We don't have
that.
it, so.
So
I
thinking
don't
of
think that's an option.
something
The only I'm disagreeing with Matthew on is as far as the efficiency part of it. You know, understand exactly what you're saying, but where I go with efficiency is, we have a maintenance person right now that we talked about, that I sort of feel like is not always being efficient. And all I'm saying is, when you start to streamline and you make that organization that, you know, as efficient as you can, that's where I was, I mean, all I'm saying is that if you're looking at what, I mean, you've been so good before on what are we getting out of it once you put into, you know what I mean, that type of checks and balances, and I just like, I think we should, I'm okay with it bringing it up, I mean, I know where you're going with it, but I'm just like, hey, where do we get to what makes your job as efficient as possible and as cost effective as possible, and I don't think it's there, but I just.
But yeah, I think you're hiring a town clerk, your job is to give you minutes.
Right.
And now the suggestion is you should hire a town clerk whose job is to give minutes, but hire someone else to give you minutes for the town clerk.
Yeah.
I know exactly where you're going, but this is coming from, I asked the question. Staff, and that's where some of it came from.
Right, and right now, there's two jobs.
Right, and he's.
Yeah.
But I.
Understood that is the job, you do that part of it.
But my point is, I think that it should be something that, before when we had Matt was here, it was always like, I've got it, and so like when I asked if I could manage Cody, I mean, I was willing to volunteer to try to manage Cody, but understanding when I'm just a citizen and it didn't make sense, but you know, what I'm saying is trying to always think outside the box. I am not one to fit
I
all.
understand, but when you offered to manage coding, you were told by staff, absolutely not, that's my job, that's my thing, stay away from it.
And
So
that's
that's
what-
very different, I've seen it.
Correct, and that's where I want Javier to come from the standpoint of always, I mean, don't, I mean, if there's.
Right now, I have to see what that clerk's gonna look like, see what they're
Right.
strong at. I know before you guys have done part-time bookkeeper or clerk, then a town administrator. Now, this is all couched in, like Matt said, the reality of our budget,
But. Oh, we might have put furloughs like we did years ago.
but for this. We barely furloughed during COVID,
Yeah, I
that's
know.
the end of the world. It always depends on what the priorities are.
Another idea.
Yeah.
This Zoom is gonna be eventually rolling out artificial intelligence to do a summary, possibly minutes
Well,
of Zoom meetings.
I've looked at that too, for the same reason, talking about efficiency.
That, you know, it may be easier to be able to do something like that. And then for somebody like you, or to go through, read it and correct it or update it.
Well,
So
I'm just gonna throw this out there, and that's great, I'd love to see how that works out. And whenever technology comes out, it lumps, it bumps, and goes down
Yes.
the road before it gets smoothed out, because you're developing it, and that's why they put it out there. Because they're gonna let you guys figure out what's right and wrong and fix it. I will tell you that my wife does writing. My wife is an architect and an archivist. My wife also does a lot of research and development, all that kind of good stuff. And the people in her industry are starting to consider that, but it takes more time for them to fix and clean up what the AI, because they have to
Yeah.
tell the AI stuff,
You got
then the AI that produces stuff, and then they wind up editing. And believe it or not, there are a lot of people that are better at writing than there are editing. But so far, the people that she's been dealing with, they've determined that it's not worth the money, the time, and the effort versus just writing
that
it
makes sense.
yourself.
I think it's better.
Right, I'm saying it's technology gets better, but I will tell you the highest paid, like freelance type person are people who fix what those things create. So it's really interesting, you're saying, great, we're gonna take it away from you, but now we're gonna hire someone. So it's kind of like when I got into framing housing, they started doing, we're just banging these houses out. And the guys that were framing were not skilled framers, and they were paying me 4 times what they would pay those guys to come back through and fix it. Somehow it wasn't worth it, it was worth it because of how quickly they could put it up, and I never understood that. But they didn't have 50 skilled framers. So having me come in and fix all these mistakes was worth it to them. But like I said, the highest paid person right now is a freelancer and fixes those things. So it's something to look at, something to track,
I think
but I'm not too sure about it right now, to be honest.
to Kevin's point, I think it's always what's town council's priority with what the administrative office book, and then you work off of that. Right now, it's actually kind of easy, because right now, we just have to find a good clerk, and then those are like second
I have
order
a question
questions.
about the clerk. Now, you're a clerk. Well, the hours, how does that work? Like, do they work a 40-hour week, or do they get overtime?
They have to work,
They can't go more.
they cannot, because
So in other words, say they go to 2 meetings like this, they got planning commission. So then they cut back the rest of the time, so they don't.
that's,
I'm just thinking that might be something to look at, maybe, have posting, like, okay. Town is closed, or the office hours are closed, 12 to 3 on Thursday or Friday, so that. Because you want to have town clerk, maybe they're taking that time off, if they're gonna have some flex time. I mean, it's just something that.
so because of our limited budget, and then
Right.
a change where you're required to pay overtime, that really limited Matt having to go over 40 hours.
Okay.
So I stuck to
But
40
they
hours.
can't go development. Time and a half.
We would be required to get time and a half,
Okay.
but for us, it isn't feasible because we don't have the money to
Right.
just
Well, what is it, you told me once, what's the range for the town clerk?
38 to 45. It's on the
38 to
job
45,
post.
depending on experience and training. or
I'm
education.
curious, why is it not salary?
It's hourly. I don't know.
It could be salary,
Yeah,
that's just the way you chose to set it up.
yeah.
So the town could set it up salary and,
But you still have
You're not
extra
worried.
hours there.
no, I understand, but you don't have to worry about it, if we work 20 minutes over,
Oh,
you're getting overtime. So it seems like the setup failed, we've already identified
Good
there's a
idea.
problem with that. Why would we continue to do it wrong? It would make sense to me that it should
well,
be
it's
salary,
something to
instead.
talk about with,
You have
I
to
thought
figure
about
out.
that too, because when I worked, I was salaried, I worked, I never got an extra, but. I don't see how it would work, it would be just too much to keep up with.
Anyway, my recommendation would be it should be salary.
I agree, it sounds like it should be, I thought it was a salary job then.
No,
Because it kind of has to go like exempt and non-exempt, is that what it is?
No, exactly.
no,
Is that what it is?
I'm just saying, you set up a parameter for the
Yeah.
job when you hire. And salary can be set up.
But you were never salaried, you were always hourly, right?
Hourly, yeah.
But that's the way Matt.
Salary hourly, I guess.
That's the way Matt set it up when he was here, she was salary. She was? Yeah, think of all the overtime she did. She did it town administrator.
What did she do?
Matt, he's here. The point is,
Why'd you take it? I mean, there must be some reason. for
But
that.
then my concern also is on the other side, because I can look at it, that's kind of interesting, but you start losing some incentive to even be in the role in some respect. If I start working over and over and over like that, because we know why Amy left.
Well, she was doing like, she was doing.
Yeah.
Amy was promised a job and they didn't give it to her,
Yeah.
so that sounds very safe.
And then.
She took on the work
Just like.
with a promise of a job, and then all of a sudden was told, here, we hired someone to do the job, and promised you, now we want you to train them.
Mhm.
So that's why you left, so that's unfair to say.
I think she's. Yes, but also I would be very hesitant about coming into a role if it feels like it's too much hours like that. I think mine's different because of the role, but as a clerk, that's some of the hesitancy I have.
But I guess that's the point too. When you have clear expectations, the people that would be hesitant wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like saying, what we talk about with maintenance. We need someone who is motivated to do this and take pride in it instead of dumping stuff all over the place, etc. So if you have clear expectations, then you get the right people. So if you're saying it's hourly and then you're gonna say, by the way, well, we just turned your salary, of course you're gonna have. Because there was clear expectations and now you're changing the story. But if you make it clear that this is a salary position, that's the expectation and that's what people understand. Just like when you took on the job as town administrator, you understood you were gonna be covering extra work for the time it took to get this done. You understood that.
But always to some degree with that. I'm always, with any role, always to some degree, people will understand expectations.
Right, and because you're going from an hourly job to a salary.
Yeah.
I've been salary my whole life. Very different. So I had different expectations. You know, when I did hourly, I know I got paid overtime, et cetera, et cetera. And when I became a supervisor and manager in that same company, I knew I wasn't. That's my choice to take that job. No one made me take that job. So that's part of the job. My point is, it doesn't seem like switching it from salary to hourly really worked out well. And now you're saying because they have to cover all these meetings. It creates a problem where now all they're doing is covering meetings.
Mhm.
And that's really not the job of the town clerk. It's part of the job of the town clerk. Especially the way you've probably written it up and everything.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what I mean, the expectations are there that this is gonna happen. And to say now it's hourly doesn't make sense.
But even from the beginning, if it was salaried. There's some advantage to being, hey, these are your finite hours, and that is a perk to some people.
I
So,
understand that.
so I'm
My
waiting.
point is,
Yeah.
but then you're gonna be
Yeah.
attracting people that's not a person.
My concern is we're a little bit too deep right
Yeah.
now for that.
All the time we change.
Yeah.
Or do they know that? Like I said.
Yeah, it's
It's on the job description,
Oh.
definitely stated.
Oh, that's-
Yeah,
So maybe the next one.
People who apply for it, you know, that's what it is, that they're,
Yeah.
that's what their expectations are.
Yeah. But that might be something to look at, especially for us too, that we could call the job description. You know, are they still up to date, you know, with the town administrator, or the maintenance guy? You know, it's just realistic, or are they, you know, current, anyway. More tasks for us.
Okay,
No, but
all right. We'll call it quits.
motion.
where's it under call quits?
I'm just, so where's the camera? still?
That one's supposed to face over here, if I've turned,
Oh,
so we'll make that a stat camera.
oh.
Yeah, it's now pointing toward Kevin's shoes.
And it was,
That little piece you're touching now.
There was.
Yeah, it looks like a boilerplate. It's just a webcam. Like the same ones you would throw on the top of your desktop.
Have we operated some of the time? Last year, there was some people talking about like vaccines here, like you can see.
So we got both of those
We got,
lines,
we got one, we got one, okay.
because that mic was in the back, but we never got it to work.
Okay.
And Nancy fixed it, so both.
the camera was actually when you open that up.
Yeah, so we just have an extra camera too, it helps, but that is an audio.
It's an audio.